y'all. I'm Ashland.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Marla.
And welcome back to Lecturing Ladies. This is, I almost said season 2. Season 4, episode 2. We're talking about cults. And today we are going to talk about Heaven's Gate.
Yes.
So everybody knows, or I say everybody, most people know at least a little bit about Heaven's Gate. You know about the Nikes, you know that they killed themselves, and you maybe know that they were hoping to catch a UFO on the way out. Okay, but that's
way to ruin the ending.
That's probably the only part that you know. Heaven's Gate has gone by like a fuck ton of other names, like 10. But it was founded in 1974 in California by a man named Marshall Applewhite and a lady named Bonnie Nettles. Marshall was the son of a Presbyterian minister, and he began like kind of coming up with his own Bible prophecies really, really early. And then he started beginning to share them with others in like the early 70s. He met Bonnie in 1972. She was a nurse at a hospital that his brother was in. Some of the stuff says it was a psychiatric hospital. Some of the stuff says it was just like a regular hospital, and she was like a nurse in the nursery, like with the babies, and he just happened to see her, so I don't know, whatever. But she was a nurse of some sort, and she was married. But she was also nuts, so it worked out. Because he met her, it was 1972, he met her, and he later, like, telling people about when they met, recalls, like, he felt like he had just known her for a really long time. They had a really deep connection, so he just assumed that that meant they met in a past life. Well, she told him that she was warned that she was going to meet him by aliens, and that her and
red flag number 1.
Yes. So he and she were supposed to, they had like a divine assignment from these aliens. So she was expecting to meet him, and she knew what was going to happen, and she was prepared for it.
Well, thank God somebody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. So they meet and they start studying together, like all kinds of different philosophers, but from like all different realms. So like they studied Saint Francis, which is a Catholic friar, deacon, mystic, preacher, like all of these things. He founded all of these orders like way back in the 1200s. So they studied his work, but then they also studied another philosopher / author, R.D. Laing, who focused on mental illness, particularly people who dealt with psychosis. So then they also studied science fiction writers. So like they took bits and pieces of all these different, kind of like NXIVM did a little bit. They took bits and pieces of all these different people's ideas and kind of smushed them all together. And it was like, okay, so this is what we believe. They did study.
I think that's red flag number 2, though, because now that keeps copied up.
Probably. They did study, I'm going to use that term very loosely, the King James version of the Bible. That's what they used primarily. But they only studied passages that they felt applied to them. So they were heavy on like Christology passages. So anything that had to do with Jesus's life, they paid attention to. But like not really so much the other stuff. Or they were they took from like monks and parts of the Bible and friars and all that, living like a frugal lifestyle, or they renounced worldly possessions. Like we don't need any money, we don't need any things, we don't need any of that, which is all really great, fine, and like wonderful, but you do kind of need like some stuff to live. But anyway, and then they also studied, like, it's called I don't know. It's like the study of the last things, study of the end times, basically. So they paid a lot of attention to Revelations.
Yeah.
And you know, well, maybe you know, but in Revelations, there's talk of 2 witnesses. They claim to be those 2 witnesses.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's them. After just a few, so they met in like February, March of 1972. By middle of the summer, they like had their shit figured out. Like, okay, so we're gonna start this little culty thing, religion, and this is what we believe. They thought that they were chosen to fulfill biblical prophecies and that they had been given a higher level minds than other people, which is why they understood different things and they knew what UFOs were and they knew how to get onto them to achieve the next level is what heaven was called for them. It was the next level, and that was where the UFOs come in.
Red flag number 3, someone who thinks they always know everything and they're smarter than literally everybody else on the planet.
Yeah,
Yep.
like not just I'm smarter than you, but like I am literally
The smartest.
The smartest.
like the smartest.
Fuck
And
Stephen
you know that
Hawking.
thing you read about in the Bible? Yeah, I was there, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Marshall did also claim to be like related to Jesus, not like bloodline related to Jesus, but like he was Jesus's representative on earth now. So like, yeah, Jesus was here, he was real, he died. I'm not him, but I'm his representative. He sent me specifically to tell all you guys how to get to heaven. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So maybe red flag number 4, probably.
Yeah.
Their basic belief structure was that the entire earth would be recycled before the year 2027. So like wash clean.
We're so close.
Right? Wash clean. Think like flood, fire, like not.
We've had all these things recently.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
they might be right about this part.
This part could still be true. We have a few years before we can definitely be like, no, we're wrong.
The deep freeze, get all those COVID germs out of Texas before you open it up, you know.
Exactly. So, and they thought that their only chance that when the world is recycled, the only chance for their consciousness to survive, so their soul, their spirit, their whatever you want to call it, the only way it could survive was for them to leave their human body at an appointed time and their soul would catch on this UFO and it would just ride around till after 2027 and then like come back down and like everything's all cool. Now there's a new earth and stuff.
But what did it drop into if everything was gone?
I don't know. I guess you're rebuilding, bro. I'm not sure.
Okay, sorry.
The group was open only to adults over the age of 18. So that is
that's good.
A little different from some of the other cults that we know, like Nexium that we just talked. I mean, there were kids in Nexium that were born into it and raised and things like that. So there was that little nicety, I guess, that they afforded people.
As far as cults go, it's
yeah, as far as cults go, that was a little bit of a silver lining. The members were required to give up all earthly possessions. They had to like say goodbye to their friends, to their family.
Okay, that's red flags 5 and 6.
Yep.
No and no they lived a life that was devoid of Ted's upset. He's not getting cut right now. Devoid of a lot of like indulgences, but just even like basic indulgences. Without getting too okay, you know, some of the men were voluntarily castrated.
Oh.
Because
so this is the opposite of Nexium.
Yeah. Including Marshall, the leader, were voluntarily castrated in order to
remain pure.
Yes, but also it was the big thing was just don't live an indulgent lifestyle. And sex was kind of indulgent. And then also, Ted, lay down. Also, they didn't want you to, buddy, I'm right here.
I mean, I don't have balls, but I don't love anything enough to voluntarily cut them off if I had them.
Yeah. That.
Yeah. And that's red flag 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If someone tells you to chop your balls off, you run.
Let's not even talk about the fact that when so they all volunteered to do this. It was a nurse who was a member of the cult that was going to do it. Well, she fucked the first one up and almost killed the guy. And then 7 other men were still like, you know what? You probably got to figure it out now, though. He didn't die. I mean, he almost died, but he didn't die, so it's probably fine.
Of what? Like bleeding out? Like sepsis? Like what?
We don't need to know.
I don't know. I don't know. All it says was the initial attempt was very unsuccessful. That was the words, resulting
at that
in
point, just
near
take,
death.
There's like medicine that can chemically castrate you. Like,
Yeah.
just take that.
Yeah.
Did the women have to do anything?
No. And I will say too, it was voluntary, so it's
also
not
refreshing.
They didn't force you or anything, I guess. Whatever.
Pure
but
pressure.
Yeah, we're just all gonna do it, but I mean you don't have to. So where am I? Okay. Castration. That's where that's where we are. That was another the big thing was they didn't need a human because we're all aliens in their mind, and they're going home to be with their alien beings in heaven, and in order to help to achieve that next level was leaving behind human-like characteristics. So
aliens don't.
No, evidently not. Sexuality, job,
and they think
family. This was weird. They added ODY at the end of their first names and then got rid of their last names. So it'd be like
Emily Odie
and Marla Odie and Ashland Odie, because part of
we'd all be Odie to be in this.
Literally. So that was part of giving up your human characteristics, was you gave up your name, and y'all all had, when you got to get this next name with the Audi added at the end, you were like,
why that suffix?
That's ready. I don't know. I wish I could find out, but I can't. I didn't see anything why did we pick this? Because you would think that the leaders would pick something that sounds really cool with their name, and then everybody else just has to fucking deal with it. But Marshall Audi.
Nothing sounds cool with Marshall though. Let's be honest.
Bonnie Audi. Bonnie Audi does kind of sound cool.
Yadi.
So okay, the whole thing. Remember from earlier, Marshall and Bonnie. They are from Revelations. They've been around a really long time.
That's true, bro. They probably know their shit.
But then Bonnie died.
Oh. Did she not see that coming?
So Marshall was like, shit, now we got to explain this.
Aliens.
And she died in 1985 of, I think it's some sort of cancer. Pancreatic cancer, maybe? I don't know. It doesn't really. Liver cancer?
Wait, but this cult's been going on a while. It's 11 years old now.
13
years? Yeah, they're
10
to 11 years in this. And so he changes everything to kind of make this work for her to have died. That what happened, you can choose when you leave your earthly body, and she just chose to leave then.
And hop that UFO early.
Correct.
She got it on.
She's going right now.
Last minute tickets are way cheaper.
So
want to get away deal or whatever.
After she's gone, the whole group kind of changes to, they're more underground. They all meet in Oregon. There's 100-ish of them at this point.
Oregon.
The fucking Pacific Northwest, y'all. But anyway, they all meet in Oregon. They go to this hotel, and then they all everybody has to, again, if you haven't already sold off all your shit, you have to sell off all your shit. They all tell their families goodbye, see you later. They all go to this hotel and then disappear. To the point where Walter Cronkite's reporting about it on CBS Nightly News. A whole bunch of people who believe that a UFO is going to come pick them up disappeared, but it's unclear if the UFO picked them up or if they just disappeared.
So were they people knew who they were before this?
Yes. At this point, they had kind of started gaining some media attention.
Okay.
They had a website and everything. It's very official. The website's actually still up and running. But so they decided to they go to
Maybe they're running it from Spain.
Who pays for their server?
That's actually a good question.
Just wait. Okay, so they go to this hotel, then they disappear. What disappearing meant was they're following old buddy like across the country. They're sleeping in tents on the side of the road. They're begging for money and food because again they sold all their shit.
That earthly, shouldn't they
Like,
have money if they
look,
stole other stuff?
I guess you run out at a point.
After decades.
Yeah, you run
That's
out
fair.
at a point. And so they're just kind of like nomading it up all across the United States at this point.
So I guess you really don't need earthly possessions.
Right. And in the 70s and 80s, there was kind of like a cult phenomena. We'll see as we see like the timing of all the cults we're going to talk about, other than, well, Nexium basically, but where there was a lot of cults forming, and it was essentially psychologists believed part of the reason that they were forming so easily and people were so eager to like join and be a part of something was that people had grown up strictly in the church, whatever their church may have been, you know, Catholic, Presbyterian, Baptist, whatever their church was. And these, like we talked about, these cults would take bits and pieces, but like the kind of good parts,
The fun
and
parts.
yeah, like the fun, easier parts, and put them in a little culty thing. And so they're like, okay, so this is easier than being Catholic, so I'm gonna just do this. They didn't pay attention long enough to like, but you have to kill yourself at the end. But they probably didn't open with that. So
That fine print, that'll get you.
Yeah, they
live in the moment. Live in the
so
moment.
I get it. So we're gearing up for them to enter the next level. There's a specific process that Marshall lays out that you have to go through. And I have the steps because I just had to write them down. So you have, okay, according to Heaven's Gates, once an individual has perfected himself, there are 4 methods to enter or graduate.
Wait, how do we know we perfected ourselves?
That's the selling everything off.
Okay.
You don't all, you deprive yourself of like all niceties pretty much. You get like, they use the word like, or they compare it to like Gandhi a lot. That just feels wrong to me though, so I haven't done that yet, but that's kind of their like.
So I would know when I had perfected my state.
Yes.
Because you're miserable.
Blissfully just.
Yes. So there was originally just 3 ways to get in, but then like I said, you know, Bonnie died, so they had to add a 4th. So she would be covered. So the first one is physical pickup onto the telespacecraft and transfer to the next level body aboard the craft. This is the one you're all probably familiar with and that we'll learn a lot more about in just a second. The second was natural death, accidental death, death from random violence. Here, the graduating soul leaves the human container for the perfected next level body. Outside persecution that leads to death. This became more important after Waco because, okay, so they formed in 74-ish, but the suicides we all know about didn't happen until 97.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of culty things going on between now and the suicides. And the Branch Davidians is one of them. So that persecution that the Branch Davidians went through, and if the Heaven's Gates folks were to be persecuted like that and killed, then they would get in. And then willful exit from the body in a dignified manner. Near the end, Applewhite had a revelation that they might have to abandon their human bodies to achieve the next level as Jesus had done. This occurred on March 23rd, 22nd, and 39th, which we'll get into in a minute about the 39th of March, when they committed suicide and graduated. So, the physical pickup, the first one, I got you backwards. The first one, the physical pickup, would be like an alien actually came and picked you up. The fourth one is the one that they did where they all committed suicide so that the UFO could then pick them up.
I'm trying to think of a situation that they did not cover.
Literally. Pretty much. So aliens come and get you, you're in. Natural death, you're in. Accidental death, you're in. Death from random violence, you're in. Outside persecution that leads to death, you're in. Willful exit of the body in a dignified manner, you're in. However,
undignified's the only
asterisk. I can't say that word very well. They did not believe in suicide. But willful exit from the body in a dignified manner was okay.
Oh.
So, okay.
Yeah. Words.
So you couldn't shoot yourself in the head though. That wasn't cool.
But you had to do it in a dignified manner.
Exactly.
Okay.
So on to how they dignified anyways, whatever.
Corporate promotion.
Yes. The mass suicide took place in 1997. In October of 96, so the fall before, they began renting this large home in Rancho Santa Fe, California. This is where everybody moved in. They called it the Monastery. We have no idea how they got the money to pay for it because it was like $7,000 a month, but they did. I guess they only had to pay for it from October to March, so maybe they just figured it out. I don't fucking know. In the same month, so October, when they moved in, they also got alien abduction insurance on 50 of the members, because I guess it would only cover up to 50. It would pay out $100 million, or not $100 million, $1 million per person. The policy covered alien abduction, alien impregnation, or death by aliens. So if any of those three things happen to you, you got $1 million.
I'm assuming that's farmers because they've seen a thing or two.
Probably. So on March 19th and 20th, Marshall Applewhite taped himself in a video called Doe's Final Exit. That was his little nickname. Yeah. Speaking of the mass suicide and that it was the only way that they could evacuate the Earth. After asserting that the spacecraft was trailing the Hale comet, that this event the comet coming through was closure of Heaven's Gate. So they had to kill themselves and hop on the spaceship behind the comet because after that, the gate was closed.
I remember Halley's Comet coming through when I was a kid, but I don't remember any of this news.
Me too. And I think it's because we were kids. Because
probably turned it off.
7, 8, something like that. So, because I remember standing on my papa's front porch looking at the comet.
At the comet, yeah.
And just across the country, a whole bunch of people were killing themselves. But anyways, didn't know that at the end. So there's 100-ish people in the cult, remember? He convinces 38 people outside of himself to actually go through with the suicide. So there was a decent amount of folks who were like, that's a little far, bro. I'm with you right up until this point, and now I'm out.
Right.
But you've already talked about this is how you do it. Unless you're physically abducted. I guess maybe they were holding out for that.
Yeah, when it comes to do it to it time, they're like, I'm good, actually. I'm good. So to kill themselves, they took medicine that I'm not even going to try to say the name of. It's just a big, long word, starts with a P. You can Google it if you want. Mixed with applesauce or pudding, and they washed it down with vodka, because why the fuck not? They also, additionally, just in case, secured plastic bags around their heads after eating this stuff to kind of speed up the process. And also, if the poison didn't kill you, the asphyxiation would. All 39 people were dressed in identical black shirts, sweatpants, brand new black and white Nike, and armband patches that read Heaven's Gates Away Team. They each had $5.75 in their pocket. That was a reference to Huck Finn, where he says it costs $5.75 to ride the tail of a comet to heaven. So they took $5.75 with them.
Oh.
They committed suicide in groups, so it was 12 and 12 and 8. 9, not a math bod, something like that. So 12 people would kill themselves, and then the next 12 moved them to their beds, took the plastic bag off their head, put the purple blanket from like their torso over their head that you've probably seen in the pictures. They didn't all commit suicide in their beds. Like they committed the group suicide in just a big room, and then they were moved. So then the next 12 went, and they were then moved to their beds, covered up, blah, blah, all that stuff. Then you had the last like 8 or 9. All those people go except 2. They wait, let all these like 7 people, put them in there, cover them up, do all the stuff. And then those 2 commit suicide. Those 2 were the only 2, obviously, because there was no one to clean them up afterwards, that were found by police with the bags over their heads, and they didn't have the purple cloth and all that stuff. They were just, yeah, there. Before they killed themselves, they mailed out some of those tapes that they had to different like news stations and journalists and stuff like that, so that people would know what they had done. And one of the people who received the tapes was actually who called 911 or the police, whatever, to be like, hey, I got this really weird thing. You might want to go to this house and check and see if these people are dead or not. Like, go
This
figure it
is
out.
concerning.
So
on
that was on March 26th. So the stuff was on the 22nd, 3rd, whatever. A few days later is when they went and checked on them. They're all dead. The aftermath, like some of the stragglers, you know, I told he only convinced 38 people outside of himself to commit suicide. However, after it, a couple of days later, a guy who actually wasn't a member of Heaven's Gate, but lived in California, had heard about him, I guess was like, holy shit, they might be onto something. So he killed himself and left a note that was like, hey, I'm going to go jump on this comet too with the people who already went before me. Catch you later, basically.
That's crazy.
Then, so this was all in March. In May, another 2 members tried to commit suicide. One did not succeed. One did. And then a few months later, another person kills himself. And then a whole, like, 6 months later, the person who tried and didn't succeed finally kills himself. So there's like at least 3 or 4 that committed suicide within the year after the comet. I'm not really sure what their minds were thinking, because he was pretty clear on the fact of once the comet's gone, the gate's closed. But I guess they were thinking like maybe, or maybe it's survivor's guilt. Maybe, I don't know. But one of the men shot himself, so that's not dignified. So you're not getting in anyway.
Yeah, that sounds.
Well, you should have listened better.
Yeah, but again, you're in a cult, so obviously you got different things going on in your head. Now, the scientists that discovered or co-discovered the Hale comet, they called him after this suicide and like was basically like, hey, holy shit, do you see like what all these people are doing? He was asked to comment and all that kind of stuff. And this motherfucker was literally like, yeah, comets make people kill themselves a lot. Like we see it in history a lot. But they have no sign of the end times, so they shouldn't, but it happens a lot.
It's like a full moon on speed or something? Like makes people crazy?
Crazy celestial thing you've never... It's in Game of Thrones. There's a fucking red comet going across the sky, so...
There you go. So I tried to find, like, I put about 10 minutes worth of effort, so whatever. But I tried to find other instances of, like, people committing mass suicides or murder or something when there was a comet coming through, and I couldn't find anything, but, you know, it might be out there. But anyway, there are 2, their website, circle back to that. There are 2 members. Well, they're listed as former members, but they're running the website, so I feel like they're pretty good members. They maybe still run the website.
Historical sake.
Maybe. They run the website to this day. Their name is Mark and Sarah King. They live in Arizona. They are still recruiting members. They still believe that...
Are we waiting for the next comment, or...
Yes.
They she ain't coming around for another 50 years or so?
That
so
UFO is coming. They still believe that there are... They may have missed the first comet, but one, it's coming back around. Two, there are other celestial objects that might be carrying UFOs behind them that they can hop on. They actually even address the mass suicide because at some point someone was like, okay, but what about all those people who killed themselves because of that comet and you didn't? So how are you still here? And it says whether or not the Hale comet has a companion or not is irrelevant from our perspective. However, its arrival is joyously very significant to us at Heaven's Gate, as our brothers and sisters went on to the next level at that time. The joy is that our older member in the evolutionary level above humankind, the kingdom of heaven, has made it clear to us that the Hale comet's approach is the marker we've been waiting for, the time for the arrival of the spacecraft to take us home to their world in the literal heavens. However, this is a very practical reason. However, there is only so much room.
No.
However, there's only so much room.
Like little puddle hopper?
For our consciousness aboard this spacecraft.
Oh my god.
So the ones of us who were not lucky enough to graduate to the next level beyond the Hale comet wait patiently in our earthly bodies for the next opportunity. If you study the material on this website, you will hopefully understand our joy and what our purpose here on Earth has been. You may even find your boarding pass to leave with us during the brief window. We are so very thankful that we have been recipients of this opportunity to prepare for membership into their kingdom and to experience their boundless caring and nurturing characteristics. Anyways, whatever. So, essentially the website is like, yeah, they killed themselves. They got on the first one, but there just wasn't room. There just wasn't room for all of us. So we'll catch the next one.
Comets are notoriously very small.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So that's the Heaven's Gates, people. And I don't know, y'all probably will recognize this guy if you haven't seen him before. Or, like, you definitely have seen him before. But the dude that all these people were listening to definitely looks like a fucking psycho. Like, why anybody, like, at least, you know, Keith Raniere kind of looked like sort of normal-ish. This guy, you're like, oh yeah, no, he definitely believes in aliens. Come on.
What's his last name again?
Applewhite. That's him.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, like, you kind of, that's from his different, that's his videos.
Ooh, just his facial expressions.
Yeah, you're like, this dude definitely believes in aliens.
He's literally doing the aliens thing.
Yeah,
Just
like,
alien.
Literally believes in aliens. So,
I mean, listen, belief in aliens is one thing, but
though, so
this,
I might have would have followed him right there, to be honest.
No.
Well, I mean, you would have followed Ted Bundy too. So.
Bonnie looks like a librarian. Why do all these people look like librarians? I said that about the last guy too.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, and here's
because you trust him.
Bonnie.
You would trust him.
Bonnie looked totally normal.
He
to me.
Kind of looks like my 10th grade English teacher, honestly.
See, like Bonnie's like, okay, I'm normal. He just screams alien. I don't know.
I can't believe he didn't say he was an alien and not Jesus. Such a missed opportunity.
But he was Jesus' representative, so he was the best of both.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think if I'm gonna be like I'm kind of Jesus, I'm just gonna go the whole way and be like, no, I actually am Jesus, reincarnated.
2.0.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna go for the whole thing.
When you just say, yeah, I'm just kind of like, he sent me. No,
I'd be like, I'm him.
Run your cult's better.
I mean,
but then you would have to deal with like every Christian in the world, like trying to attack you.
I guess.
I don't know, bro.
So yeah, that's Heaven's Gates. But I mean, the part that you don't hear, or I guess I don't feel like people hear about most often, is they didn't all kill themselves. I mean, they were running like a 40% success rate, roughly.
Yeah, I didn't know there was
60% of the people were like, I'm not fucking doing that shit. So
right.
Wait, what about March 39th? What was that about?
Oh, okay. So they killed themselves on 3 different days, but it was supposed to be in the same month. But the last group got delayed, so they just kept the month going.
That makes sense. Sometimes when I play putt-putt, I'm like, doesn't
okay.
stop rolling. It's just one hit, so I just keep like knocking it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I only hit it once, guys. The ball never stopped rolling.
Yeah. So time is fake or whatever. They really took that to heart.
I mean, that's fair. Honestly, if someone could look me in the eye and convince me that March has 39 days,
sure.
Maybe they should.
I mean, if they can convince you that your soul can go ride around on a comet with some UFOs.
I mean, that sounds fun as fuck.
Aliens.
Just,
right.
I wonder what the current people think of Elon Musk. If they're like, hey, if you got a spare spaceship,
yeah, like,
how do you know?
Send us.
How do you
maybe
know
Elon Musk is a member?
He probably is the fucking leader. Elon Musk is a supervillain, and I've said that over and over. We're gonna see it one of these days.
Maybe that's why we have so many problems with technology, because you run your mouth.
The robots are rising up against Marla first.
Yeah. They're taking us out with her.
Well, just don't buy a Tesla, because that might end badly. But you would think the Apple products and fucking everything else would work. Anyway. So I'm mad.
So Heaven's Gate. So they didn't like worldly possessions, but they bought some new Nikes to die in.
Yeah, it was just because they got a good deal. Actually, I was meant to include that because a lot of people asked why they chose those Nikes, and one of the members was just like, "Yeah, we got a super good deal on them. They were on sale."
Honestly, respect on the whole sweatpants thing, because if I'm gonna be stuck in an outfit for the rest of eternity, I'm gonna be comfy. I'm gonna fuck.
Yeah, like, it better be comfy.
So
that's a good point. That's a very valid point.
Yeah.
So there's that. Wow. And next week, I'm pretty sure I'm doing the People's Temple, Jim Jones. Because he's crazy. I mean, all these people are crazy, but he was crazy. He was crazy. And then the last two, I think we're going to go international, I think, for the last two.
That'll be exciting.
So, we will see you guys next Friday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.